Okay. Okay. Yes, so we can start with this session. Just have to organize myself a little bit more. Okay. So first of all, thank you all to all of you to be here. It's a pleasure. So we'll start with refuge, bodhicitta, and a prayer to the Lama. We just spoke about Lama Tenzong just a while, before this recording, and so it's a way also making this prayer to receive the blessing of the Lama. Can be Lama Tenzong, can be Karmapa. Anyway, there, we don't have to make the differences between these and that Lama. As soon as they are embodiment of the Dharma, so this is the main point, in fact. And so having this in mind, and so we really receive all the blessing, when we're open to the Lama in that way. Because in fact, when we say Lama, it means that the Lama, he's the Buddha, he's the Dharma, he's the Sangha. But it's a way of perceiving in a pure way, what we call the pure view. It's not to divinize, the person in itself. It's not that. It's just a way of perceiving. In fact, we just have to remember very clearly that when we speak about the Lama in such a way, so it means that we are purifying our old defilements and veils, perceiving the Lama in that way. It's not that the other, so the so-called Lama, he's this and that. It's not this. Even if you say, we can at the extreme, we can say even a dog can be your Lama, and it's really an extreme. But we have this story, the story of this old woman. You remember that, this old woman paying homage to dog teeth. You remember maybe, and because she was asking for a pure relic of the Buddha, and so his son, he forgot always, he forgot to bring back from India a tooth of the Buddha. So the last time, because she was saying, if you don't bring me that relic, so I will kill myself in front of you. So just before arriving to his mother's house, he remembered that I forgot to bring with me that relic. So he found a dog tooth just there, and so he took it and wrapped it in a pure brocade, nicely. And arriving to seeing his mother, he said, "Mother, you will be very, very happy today, because today I brought from India, I brought you a pure relic of the Buddha." And so she gave the relics. And so she put the relics on her altar. And since then, she were praying every day. And the story tells us that at the end, from that relics, a lot of relics came out. And she finally, reached enlightenment. So it's a very, very nice story, because it means that the pure view, it's something that we have to develop for ourselves. It doesn't mean that the other one has to be a pure Buddha or dark teeth. It doesn't depend on that. It depends on the way we perceive. Just to make it clear, when we say making prayer to the Lama, receiving the blessing. So receiving the blessing always means that, it's an openness in ourselves that make us, that transform us as a pure recipient, we can say, maybe. So refuge, bodhicitta, and this prayer to the Lama. Sangye Chodong Tsoge Chonon La Chung Chum Paratu Dani Kyabsuichi Dage Jin Tsoge Pe Sonong Ke Drola Pinchir Sangye Drum Paraishu Sem Chen Tam Che De Watang De Ju Dang Dan Parajuraji Dungal Dang Dungal Ke Ju Dang Jarwarajuraji Dungal Me Be De Watang Pa Dang Min Jarwarajuraji Nyering Cha Dang Nye Dang Jarwe Dang Nyum Chenpo la ne parajurji Palen tsawe lama rinpa che dage che warmpe me den chola Karin chenpo gane che sungte Ko sung tunge nga drum tsan do sol. Okay, so we can start, or not only start but also continue with Lojong. So maybe you had time to read that part, that introduction part of the commentary of Shama Rinpoche. It's quite interesting because it's not the traditional way, the way, for instance, we find in the commentary of Jungle Control de Taille. Another really famous commentary on mind training, for sure. But Shama Rinpoche's mind training commentaries on mind training, it's also very interesting. And because, his way, in his way, he, for instance, I just spoke on the Lama, and really he insists on the way we perceive the spiritual master. He insists also, not a lot, but the way we have to understand the three spheres. So the perception of the phenomena according to the three natures. So there is a lot of really interesting thing. I just suggested to read that part to make it clear what we need to have in mind when we engage in Lojong, just for that reason, But after we can continue on Jungle Control Lodo Taye's commentary or Shama Rinpoche's commentary. We can do both also. It can be interesting to see. Today we know that there is a lot of commentary, so it's not not to say this one is the best, this one is not the best. It's not that. It's always an approach, a very interesting approach, but going through that part of Shama Rinpoche's commentary, it makes clear that we need some understanding before going too far. Otherwise, we can maybe miss the point. We can think that Lojong will be just a trick to cure others, for instance, or to be really powerful, to change, to change things outwardly. But it's not exactly the point. But what I would like to do with you now, it's maybe to open a discussion on what you read and what you understood from this reading. Maybe we can exchange on that. And after, when all is very clear, so we can continue. Because anyway, we are still observing the first point. The first point, it's training in the preliminaries. So this is the most important point. And after we train, and traditionally, we train in perceiving phenomena in a right way. Right way means remembering that they are like a dream. And so there is few instructions on that point. And after we continue with the development of bodhicitta, ultimate bodhicitta, relative bodhicitta, and mainly after the training on relative bodhicitta. But to train on the relative bodhicitta, we have to be clear on few points before that. So, is it okay for you just to open a discussion, and after we'll see? how it's going on, but just to see how we all understand, because maybe again it's important to say, even if I have the title Lama Jimpolojo, it's not that I think that I have something special to teach you, but it's more that we are all together to learn the Dharma. So I think exchanging on our understanding can be really good. If you agree, it's okay for you. I'm sure, Pavel, you have something to say.
Yes, you know me well.
Yeah.
No, yes, I was very inspired by this approach from Samarin Ponce, and really, I don't have so much to say. Just that, is it clear that these preliminaries are so important? I mean, for me, it's a topic I'm reflecting more and more.
Yeah.
Because maybe I'm getting older also,
Yes.
and then comes also the feeling of the impermanence.
Yes, sure.
And naturally, reading this book, and it was clear that this part is so important, because without this part, one is somehow playing, playing to practice Dharma, no? It's like it somehow is not taking the whole commitment of oneself in life, no? And this is why I consider this part so important, because otherwise one is involved in we'll say the main practice will be Loyon, but it's something that now I'm doing, afterwards I'm not doing, because you still think you have time, or you still think you will have an easy possibility of doing it again in the next life, no?
Yes.
And
We
more
may
like that.
Yeah, sure. We may think in that way. Yeah. So for you, it seems that what strikes you was the reflection and death and impermanence mainly, because there is a lot of things in this part coming from Shaman Rinpoche's commentary, and so it's interesting also to exchange on what was really the main points for us, and so for you. I think it's quite clear that it was death and impermanence. Yeah. Yeah, no, very good. No, anyway, preliminaries, I can just add that for me it's exactly the same. I don't know for the other ones, but yeah, for me it's exactly the same. And more and more I discover how it is, how much, how much or how incredibly important are the reflection, the four basic thoughts. Really, now I really start to understand what the great masters always said. It's more profound than the main part. Speaking about the Mahamudra part, and saying that if we don't turn the mind, so we do nothing. Really not. So this is clear. Maybe another one. It can be really interesting to share. To receive also what the other they discovered from that reading, or maybe from the general reflection concerning this preliminary part of mind training. Feel free. I think so slowly we will get used to that.
Yeah, maybe I can also talk a little bit.
Yeah, sure, Klaus.
Yeah, for me was one thing was very interesting. It was this 5 degenerations.
Yes.
Because I heard a bit about it, that we have the degenerative types, but not actually any precise teachings or precise things about it. So this was quite interesting to hear and to see and to reflect also a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So and also the meaning of the practice of exchanging self and other as one of the means in these times, which
Mm-hmm.
was also very interesting to that it's practicable for everybody,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like I understood in the text.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
and
yeah, and on the five
yeah,
degenerations, could you add something more, or
yes.
what strikes you, or
Well, I mean, I'm just lived in the golden times,
okay.
as I feel, I grew up very easily, and everything was fine. It was all. I grew up very natural with my family, so there was no big problems, and everything was easy. I mean, it was was very natural. I felt,
Yes, yes, you're right.
and now the times, as I feel, are changing a lot.
Yeah, sure.
So we have so many difficult things, and this also I also struggle quite a bit with that.
Yeah, sure, sure. We all.
So for me, like patience is one thing which comes up a lot,
Okay,
and it's like
patience.
this.
Yes.
So I have to learn a lot
Ah,
with that.
yes,
So,
yes.
but
We
yeah.
all have to learn a lot from patience. Yeah,
So
no,
this is one
totally.
one thing I noticed. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and in the text it seems that it's like not only this 200 years or something like it's since a long time. I understand.
Yes.
So this was new for me. I thought now it would be like this very degenerated,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah,
out
sure.
of the eon, as I
Mhm.
understood.
Yes, and it can be interesting for us. Yeah, yeah, I hear you, and yeah, maybe a really important point with that, with this concept of five degenerations. For instance, it's really interesting to note that if you read classical author like even Gambopa or let's say Selig Ronjol from the 15th or 16th century, they already speak and about the five degenerations time. So it's not that, in their perspective of time, it's not exactly that they are speaking, now like these last 200 years in the West, where a lot of things changes, and maybe not for the best sometimes, and sometimes for the worst. But it's also a perception of time, thinking that coming from the time of the Buddha Shakyamuni, this was really the golden era, and after from that there is a slow or quick, it depends, but there is a degeneration, because for instance, just to share with you something that comes uh, that is coming from Lama Tongzong's advice, but in a very natural way. He said that, yeah, but when people were just disciple of the Buddha, for them, hearing the teaching and realizing the meaning of the teaching was very easy. For them, it was quick. And I remember that I was quite, wow, okay, it is like this. And it was interesting to perceive that for him, it was like that the past was the best. And now, anyway, it's like, yeah, just an image of what it was, but not in a nostalgic, way of thinking. Absolutely not. It's really the understanding of the causes and conditions, and saying that this these causes and conditions, they are changing a lot. And so now it's not that it's not a good time, but it means that it's so different. So maybe important to keep that in mind, because otherwise, I'm not saying that for you, Klaus, but we can also have this idea that, wow, now it's very bad because it's not
Yes.
as good as it was
Yeah.
before. And it was not this in the mind of Flamatonzon, just
Yeah.
saying that, okay, the causes and conditions, they changed, definitely. So we have to practice in another way also. It was also for saying that. So meaning that maybe, for us, Lojong, it's mind training, it's absolutely perfect because we are not living in a monastery. We are not, to be Asanga with the Buddha. Maybe, yeah, it was marvelous, but also maybe more easy for them to be monk or nuns, fully ordained in a society where it was possible, where they were respected for. But it's not the case for us. We have to do our job. We have to earn money. We have to think about our living. So we cannot live in the same way. But we also have good conditions. So it's a way of perceiving, time changing, but more on this aspect of causes and conditions. So taking the advantages of the cause and conditions we have now. But to have this as mind, you are totally right. It's really important because otherwise we think that, Dharma is granted, and the Lama is granted, and we just, this summer, just in order to go in your direction, Klaus, this summer I was really shocked. It's not the right word, but it was very clear for Karmapa, and mainly, I think in Montchardon, he really spoke a lot of that, about that. He said, to be together is a miracle. And for me, it's a way of speaking of the five generations. Not to say it's really bad, but to say it's rare, very rare. And so to have these kind of causes and conditions to be together, all together, in Le Bust at the end, the last day, yeah, it was, I think, the last public day, he said, my dream is that we are all under the same roof. And so, it was really touching, because it was really to say, yeah, this is really a miracle, to be together and to share the Dharma together. So maybe thinking about the five degenerations can be also inspiring in that way. I don't know, you speak about that, and it makes me think in that way. Anyway.
Yeah. For me, very inspiring was when it was also topic. I don't know if it was in Montchador or somewhere else, and then Karmapa said, "Oh yes, it's a very good time to train patience."
Yes.
Because sometimes it's not possible
Yes.
to train patients. So
Exactly.
this I found wonderful.
Yes, it's very wonderful. And
So it's such a
yeah, you're
different
right.
kind of view to have
Yeah.
to use the circumstances.
Exactly. And we can also say, you know that in the text, the root text of the mind training, Serlingpa, he is already speaking of about the five degenerations. So it's really interesting. And if you look carefully in the introduction part of Shaman Rinpoche, in his root text, he changed a little bit. For instance, if you take Jungle Control's version, you have the instructions, the special instructions of Serlingpa coming at the end of the root text of mind training. Shaman Rinpoche, under Shaman Rinpoche's root text, he puts Serlingpa's instructions on the five degenerations at the beginning. So it's interesting because it is said in the text, when the time will come where there is the signs, the obvious signs of these five degenerations, so it's the perfect time for applying, using this mind training. So exactly. So as Karmapa is saying, so we have a good opportunity to develop mind training. We need, in a way, we need this, to develop passions and to develop all we have to develop. Yeah. So that's why, maybe it's very nice coming from Shaman Rinpoche to speak about that, these 5 degenerations, because in the root text of Jungle Control, it's not, it's not explained. We just have these 5 generations and the instructions of Selingpa and that, but no more than this. So yeah, it's a really important point. Yeah, is there any other things you want to share, please? Yeah, Regina?
For me, it was very nice to read how he describes how the impressions are set in our mind when he's talking about karma. And it was, for me, easier to understand, that all sense consciousness are reporting to the mind consciousness, and then they are stored, getting impressions through the auditive and the gustatory and all this, and then the mind consciousness puts it together as concept, as thoughts, as images. And it was for me, very easy, this process to understand. And it was also a shocking moment when he describes how we are since countless time putting amounts of negative thoughts in our mind, where he's really pointing it out, innumerable negative thoughts, so that we really have this opportunity now to work on it and to put positive seeds and plant positive seeds consciously with it.
Yes, no, you're right. It's a really important point. This is, for me, it's a pleasure to read that coming from Shaman Rinpoche, because he insists on the Yogacara thoughts, and so Yogacara philosophy, and so this is really, really interesting. That's why he's speaking about the three natures. I don't know if you noted that, but anyway, this way of explaining the mind's functions, with that basic consciousness and all the pakchas, so the imprints, so the tendencies that comes there, and after what emerged from that consciousness, and the sort of cycling, of all these imprints. So this is the view of Yogacara, and it's really, really interesting. And I think it's a very interesting way, for us to understand, why are we deluded, in fact. I just recently read in a presentation of a book of William Waldron, the difference between Madhyamaka and Madhyamika and Yogacara. So these are the 2 great philosophy of the Mahayana. So the first or second, it's not. Anyway, for Madhyamika, it's explaining why phenomena are devoid of a true essence. So this is really understanding the emptiness in that way, on that angle. You go to the phenomena and you reflect on that, or you contemplate and you understand they are void of any true essence. But after that, maybe a few centuries after that, with the Yogacara, and as Shaman Rinpoche he's mentioning, so we have a philosophy explaining why we are putting an essence to phenomena, that they are lacking a phenomena, they are lacking an essence, and there are emptiness in essence. Why we are doing this? So why are we? Why are we so inclined of making us, or building building this imagination, thinking that phenomena, they have a true essence. And so for the Yogacara philosophy, this is This is really something totally, we say it in English, a false imagination. It's not only an imagination, but you imagine something that never exists. And it can be quite shocking, because it goes to the point that when you say I, myself, so according to Yogacara philosophy and Buddha's teaching, in fact, it never exists. It has never existed, and this is pure imagination. And so he's pointing this in the preliminary, because just after that, so we have to think about, phenomena are true. We train to perceive phenomena as a dream. So, this is also linked to the Yogacara philosophy. Yeah, this is really an important point. And for someone else, Nikki, maybe Lena, Natalie, or Klaus' wife or girlfriend, I don't know. If you want to share, please.
Sibylle. Sibylle. Je m'appelle Sibylle. Oui.
Bonjour Sibylle.
Bonjour.
And you speak French. Vous parlez français. Ah, ben super. Bonjour.
Je suis française.
Ah, ben alors très bien. So, if you want to share, most welcome.
Yeah, for me, it was the same point as Regina mentioned,
Yes.
the eye and the ear and the nose consciousness and the body and mind consciousness. Yeah.
Yes.
And it shows me that we have to take care so much of every act we do.
Yes.
And as I had a very strong impression also from Kamaba. He said very simple in summer, but for me it was very strong. He said every bad seed, every bad thought takes a seed. Yeah, so you can't hide behind a thought. No, it takes seeds. So you have to be aware, super of your thinking and of your behavior. This was also a bit the essence of the text for me.
Sure. And what is the relation you can make between, just what you said, and mind training itself?
There is a relation in so many ways, that you take care of what you do, you take care of what you think, you take care of even what you eat.
Yes.
Is this your question, or did I understand wrongly?
No, absolutely not. Because, it's, no, at the contrary. Because you're saying planting seeds. So this is really, it's a key image in Yogacara philosophy, and also a key of understanding, for mind training. But because there is a reason for that. We say mind training because we train to plant seeds, in fact.
Yeah.
In a way,
Yes.
And there is a good reason for that. That's why it is said. I don't know. Maybe it's clear for you, or why we said that. Is it clear for you or not?
I mean, clear.
Okay. Yeah. No. Okay. So you can explain. Maybe it's nice.
Yeah. I'm processing. Yeah. I can't explain now.
Okay.
It's a huge topic.
Yes, it's a huge topic. To make it short, we can just, in Lojong, we really have, we can say two main parts, ultimate bodhicitta and relative bodhicitta. And so all the main instructions of Lojong, mind trainings, goes to the relative bodhicitta part, in fact. So it means that the main things we have to do, it's to train ourselves to plant the good seed in any kind of situations. So it goes to the Yogacara philosophy. So it goes exactly to what you said. That's why I wanted you to make the link, just for that. Because, if we pay attention to all the consciousness, it's not just to be aware.
Yeah.
It's to be aware of what we're doing. We can really speak about the maybe this is a key point also. We can speak about the circular conditionment or the circular law of karma. What it means to say circular? Circular means that we are conditioned. So that's why we perceive things as we perceive. And it means that the consciousness we have, or all the aspects of the consciousness we have, they don't just perceive, but they perceive always through a medium, let's say. So this medium eats the conditionments or the habits we have in perceiving in such and such a way. And through that, we are building up our future conditionment, and habits. So it means that we are conditioned, so we react in a conditioned way, but doing or acting in turn condition our reactions. So it means it's circular. It's not that we are just conditioned and we make an action and there is a fruit. Not only that, the way itself, the really way in which we are doing the action is also conditioning the way we react. So this is really important because it goes in both ways. And so when we pay attention to that, training ourselves on the relative bodhicitta, so it means that it's not just to act in a nice way, to be a good bodhisattva for just because it's nice or it's important to be good. It's more than that. It's also a training and a really word by word meaning, a training. Really, we really train. As we say in Tibetan, kom ne gom. Kom ne gom means from habits comes meditation, not the contrary. So it means that, so this is the term in Sanskrit, bhavana. So bhavana means also training, understanding, just be trained in something. So it's exactly what we are doing. So we pay attention, so we develop attention in order to be aware of what we are doing, of what kind of conditionment we are developing. And so that's why the seeds are very, very important. Because it's not, and I think we can add another aspect, it's not a moral aspect to the kleshas, saying that this is bad or this is good, never. But to say this is benefactful or harmful. That's why in Sanskrit we say kushala, akushala. Kushala means virtue, akushala means bad deeds. But when we say virtue or unvirtuous actions, it's to say that it produces happiness or it produces suffering. So that's why we're speaking about seeds. Because the alaya vijnana, the basic aspect of our consciousness is neutral. So it's not that it says I'm doing a good things or I'm doing a bad things. It's totally neutral. But all the seeds, they remain there. So we have in these 8 consciousness, we have the klishta manas. Klishta manas means the mental how we say? It's like in English, how we say it? Klishta manas, le mental distordu.
For consciousness.
Yes, it's an aspect of the consciousness. It's the seventh.
Store consciousness.
No. Store consciousness, it's alaya vijnana. And after we have klishta manas, and klishta manas, it's a distorted...
Solid consciousness.
No, it's like a distorted mental consciousness.
Oui, la conscience souillée.
Souillée.
Solid consciousness.
Solid?
S-U-2-L-I-E-D. Solid.
Solid. Yes, solid consciousness. Yes. solid, not pure, not pure.
Pure,
Impure consciousness, let's say impure consciousness. So this impure consciousness, so this is, it makes the link between the six, all the six consciousness, so the five of the senses and the mental one, and you have the seventh one, who makes the links between the basic alaya vijnana, so the store consciousness, and the six consciousness, five of the sense, and one for mental consciousness. So it means that this distorted mental consciousness always comes with the defilements, with the conditionments. So mind training means to change the story really deeply. So that's why we are training ourselves under we are training ourselves on the field of the relative bodhicitta. But this is marvelous, because also it's a way of saying that in mind training practice we have all the chances to transform ourselves. And this is in our life. It's not out of our life, because we know we are the result of our actions. So will be the results of our actions also. So the way of transforming ourselves, and the place where we transform ourselves is in this really place, in this true existence, in fact.
And Mark, one thing that in the text, Sama Rinpoche starts making reference of the three cycles.
Yes.
This approach means that for him is a question. Even when we practice the relative bodhicitta, we should, in each of our actions, we should always be rooted in the understanding or experience that the phenomena are also empty, right?
Exactly. That's why it's so important in the context of mind training to be very clear on what we are talking about right now, because after, when you are in the action, if we believe strongly, for instance, if we believe strongly that I myself, I'm really totally existing, sure, I will react in that way normally. But just to have reflected on that, anyway, it's very good, because it reminds me that this is a construction. So at least, to remember a little bit, it can help me not to be totally trapped in thinking that I'm the actor. There is the how we say, the one who will receive the result of the action, and there is the action for true, for real. This is the part of the game, but it's a game. It's not absolutely true. And so this really I have to remember when I do Lojong, and for instance, when we'll do Tonglen, we have to remember this, but really clearly, because otherwise you think that you really exchange something with others. You are really taking the suffering of others. You are really giving your happiness. So when you think in that way, you can be afraid, thinking that you will lose something by doing this. How it is possible, to give to them all that happiness, all the seeds or the root of my virtues, I will be at the end. I will be.
But empty. For me, according to this point, I was remembering a sentence like Jan Pataye said in Valencia in the course of Loyon. He was saying something like, for me, resonate very, very cool. Like it's when you good actions, they always bring good results. And then if you, for example, you do the things like with the motivation, good motivation to help others, this is a good action, could never come suffering from a good action. And this for me was a really, really good point in this direction of, even if people doesn't know about emptiness, at least to know that a good action always bring a good result, no? And then this way should not fear anything.
No, sure. But just to make it clear, when we speak of that, we have to make it clear that making a good action is not out of the understanding of emptiness, because. But clear. I'm not saying that you think that, but this is just to say that if I'm totally aware of the construction of myself as an I, so I can do even a better action, because I'm more free from grasping something. So emptiness, we don't have to see emptiness like something that will make us going out of the field of actions, like thinking that nothing exists or nothing has an importance. It's not that. When we realize, even if, let's say, imagine we totally realize emptiness, at that moment we can really do a good action. Because in fact, having a full understanding of emptiness, this is the way of acting in a pure way. So this is really important to keep in mind, because otherwise, we think, emptiness means there is no act, there is no actions. But it's not that. It means, at the contrary, that when I realize emptiness, I am in the capability to really act in a meaningful way, because I'm no more trapped in the game of ego, the game of I, myself, and so on. And so this is really important. Otherwise, we don't understand, emptiness. We don't understand the link that there is between emptiness and actions. We see it. And again, I'm not saying this because I imagine that you understand it that way. But in a general way of speaking, really emptiness it's a way of being totally in full power of action, in fact. And so this is really important for us to know, because in mind training process, so we need that kind of understanding. It's really important. So that's why we're saying, for instance, you have the first point. If you take the 51, you have the first point. So the first one, it's train into the preliminaries. The second one, we have Nipa Ngushilani, so Tangbolani. Just wait for 1 second. Yeah, Nipa Chunam Milam Tabur Sam. So it means that secondly, we have to reflect on the phenomena as the dream, like a dream. The third one, we say Makierikpe Shilache. Makierikpe Shilache means I have to reflect on the basis of the consciousness. So it means that Makierikpa means I have to consider that consciousness is a non-born consciousness. But sure, for us it's quite intellectual, but it's really important, because otherwise, I think phenomena are empty, but I'm not empty. I'm the one who is considering the emptiness of phenomena. So this can be very strange, because it's both way. Phenomena are empty, they are illusion, but I'm also an illusion. Otherwise, I cannot perceive illusion if I'm not myself an illusion. So this, maybe it's a difficult point, but not so difficult. We have to remember that in the dream, we spoke a lot on that, about that. But to make it, maybe to refresh, when we dream in a nightmare, for instance, we are the one who is dreaming about the tiger. We are both. We are the production, so the tiger, and we are the one who is producing. So we are both part, and so this is really important. So this is Makya-Rigpa. Makya-Rigpa means mind itself is not born, unborn. It's the unbornness nature of mind. So this is the third point. And after, when you go further, you have Nyempo Nikyang Ran Sarchol. So it's really beautiful, because it means also that the antidote itself, you can let the antidote itself auto-liberating. So it means that your contemplation on emptiness itself is empty. So what you are using to understand that is also empty. So it means that the remedies, the antidotes, are also empty. So the Dharma you are using is also empty. It's not that you are using something really true in order to get rid of what is wrong. Absolutely not. So phenomena are free of a true essence, or a real essence. Consciousness itself, and in the same way, and also the antidote or the remedy to that illusion, you can let the antidote dissolve into emptiness itself. So that's why the final absorptions, it's a way of saying, yeah, I'm not trying to do something particular or special. And after, you have two more. You have the fifth one, when we say you just remain in this natural state, to make it short. And no, not two more, one more. And after, it's like you take that into the life. So that's why the sixth instructions it is said, you train yourself to be the master of illusion. I don't know how Shama Rinpoche, I just will check. No, it's not there. Where it is. Yeah. Shama, but yes. Too bad I don't. Yes, I have it here. Just wait. Yeah, root text. Yeah, between in conceptualizing the three spheres, and after to bodhicitta, yeah, ultimate bodhicitta. And yes, the way of the way Shama Rinpoche puts the root text is a little bit different, as you saw. Maybe, I don't know if you noted the differences, but it's not. Yeah, it's not so important. It's just a different way of presenting. But is it clear on that point?
Yeah, for me it's clear, and also it's a reminder that the essence of this path is to really rest in your natural state. This is say no, it is say like rest in this experience of the phenomena like are empty, and yeah, like it's very very nicely presented, but it takes more effort to be
Yes,
there.
yeah, no, sure. But and yeah, you're pointing out, yes, you're making a point, a really important point. It's the effort. So maybe we can reflect on that. So yeah, how to do in order not to make so much efforts. Maybe we can reflect on that point, because maybe emptiness is a way of not making such an effort, because otherwise it means that it doesn't mean we don't take it seriously, because it's really important. So it's not to say we neglected the thing, saying that it's not important. It's not a point. No, but it means that anyway, whatever we do, it's a creation. So we can be more open to that, because otherwise we try to not to win, but we try to be very good. But we can also just remind ourselves, thinking that, yeah, but this really thought, this is a pure imagination, and yeah, this is a part of, you include that thought in the process of training.
Yeah, Mark, I have one thought. If you can tell me, because it's true that I mean, to let go, to technically is the easiest. I mean, our nature is the Buddha nature, and technically is all the time there, and just to rest should be the most natural thing for us.
Yeah.
But still, we need the two accumulations. No?
Yeah, sure.
Until this doesn't happen so natural at this cities, we have to still play this game of somehow of the two accumulations, right?
Yes. Yeah, but there is, I think, a good way of doing, included in the mind training itself. Because for instance, in the mind training itself, slowly when we train, we can, for instance, if I'm aware that maybe not always, but I can be trapped in this game of wanting something. I mean, trying something, and I can perceive not the thing, the thing I'm trying to do, but my reaction. My reaction can be quite, I don't know, tense, or I can develop a sense of worry and expecting something and things like that. So slowly I can just perceive this small grasping inside of me that makes me quite insecure, a sort of suffering, maybe not a big one, but there is one. There is there is expectation, and when there is expectation, there is a sort of a kind of fear, always, because these two always goes together. So considering this on the point of mind training can be really helpful, because we can straight away think, oh, okay, this is exactly the same thing that the others, all the other one, all they are playing the same game, the exact same game. So they have expectation, maybe bigger than me, maybe fears bigger than me, but the process is the same. So the process goes exactly in the same way. So if I'm aware, let's say, of my weakness, so I can make the wish. So may all the beings be free from that. Because I know that there is a part of the, of the game, of the trick in that. I'm trapped a little bit, maybe not as I can be in another situation, but I'm trapped a little bit. So my training in the mind training field, my training makes me aware that this is exactly the point. So if I perceive myself trapped, even a little bit, so it's a perfect opportunity to train the mind training, to be used to that immediate thought, oh, may all beings be free from that. Just that. Or you can go further, thinking, may all the suffering coming from that, dissolve in my hope and fear, in my expectation. Really, totally. And so in that way, may all beings be totally free from that. So I construct. So we were speaking on the aspect of mind training. How we train, to plant good seeds, as we spoke just a while with Nikki. But this is exactly the point. So we are trying to plant a good seed on the basis on a, let's say, bad seed. So this is the really interesting part of mind training. It's not that I have to plant a good seed. It's the way of perceiving myself planting a bad seed. So this is the possibility for me to plant a good seed. Not by being perfect, but by being imperfect and knowing that. So I think for you and me, Pavel, maybe we are a little bit the same. We want to be good, and because it's a form of idealistic mind, It's perfect not to be good in that case, because we have the perfect opportunity to if we fail, as Karmapa, said this summer in Montchadon, speaking about the crash, spiritual crash we may have. It's perfect because, our common, our similar expectations and fears that comes with the expectations. So this is the perfect situation to transform. It's not your pureness that will help you and help me. It's my faults that will help me.
Yeah, for me, this is I have to say, for me, this is my main reason why I consider the Lojong, the mind training, the best protection.
Yes,
because this is exactly the point for me.
Exactly.
Because you can have approach to emptiness with other practices, of course. But this use of the fail, of the weakness, of the weak moment,
Yes.
This use of that for me is just the masterpiece. It's just...
You're right, and it gives us a good answer to your question. When we say that we have to develop both accumulation, and so in the perspective of mind training, we develop, because both accumulation means virtue and wisdom, but in the perspective of mind training means even while doing unvirtuous action, because I develop wisdom, these unvirtuous actions if I'm aware of them, so I can transform into the accumulation of virtue. But it's not to say I have to give me excuse for the imperfect person I am. It's not the point. It's not to... Yeah, no, it's not that. It's just to be aware, just to be aware and exactly go in that way, developing virtues and wisdom both together. And this is the really intelligent part or wise part of mind training, because for me, for all of us, we were with the Klaus, speaking of the 5 degenerations. So we are in the middle of that. So we have a lot of opportunity to transform these 5 degenerations that we perceive that we are. We are the expressions of these 5 degenerations, but we can really use them in a good way in that sense. So personally, it's a conviction that mind training is really at the heart of the whole spiritual process of practicing the Dharma. Without that, I think there is no way out, because even if I want to produce a perfection, so it will be always tainted by a sort of a veil, coming from the grasping of the I and the will of the wish of being someone, or the 8 worldly dharmas that are always they are always there, ready to escape from the box, I think.
I have one question for you related with this aspect, because I think more or less everyone who is here in a way had connection with Vajrayana practice. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is how you navigate between the view of the Lojong, his view, and the view of the Vajrayana. Have you in your daily life, because everyone here maybe is doing Chenrezig and so on, or other practice or Guru Yoga, how you personally navigate in this? Because obviously both views are a training,
mm-hmm.
and one have to somehow, I don't know, what do you do in this?
Yeah, we can. I think we can use that. For instance, in all Vajrayana practice or technique like meditation, we can include Lojong in any aspect, because there is always in this moment when we imagine rays of light, coming out from the heart center, for instance, where there is the heart syllable. This light, to make it simple, it goes out, it radiates, and it touch all the, not only human beings, but all the sentient beings, and they purify them from defilements, sickness, negativities, bad karmas, and so on. And after that, they become pure. And becoming pure, they transform themselves into Chenrezig, for instance. So we think that. So we really have to think we can perceive that in the Lojong process, in fact, and really using that as we are doing in Tonglen. It's not that I am pure and I am purifying the other one. But this, sure, it's a part of my understanding of what I'm doing. If I'm thinking that, to make it clear, when I imagine to be Chenrezig, if I imagine to be Chenrezig, but in the wrong way, I am not in the adamantine pride. Absolutely not. I am in an ordinary identification to something even maybe better than myself, but still I'm doing the same thing. So it means that really when I'm Chenrezig, it's not to be Chenrezig. It's really it goes exactly to the instructions of the three spheres, as Regana mentioned it. So at that moment, I really have to remember what it means to be Chenrezig and what it means to radiate light to other ones, to all the sentient beings, but in the same understanding as what I'm doing with Tonglen, And I have also to understand that these impurities, I can really imagine that these impurities, when it dissolves in myself, for instance. You have these instructions, for instance, of Chagme Rinpoche, using Chenrezig practice while doing Tonglen, And he's explaining that you can really imagine to be Chenrezig, and as soon as you receive the black color, the air, but in a form of black color, it's like something coming into your heart, and where there is a fire, and this makes you burn in a, how we say, widely or not, I don't know how to express, but with more strength, So you radiate. After that, you are a Chenrezig radiating, this fire in a form of light. So this is also a way of understanding in the process of Vajrayana practices.
In post meditation, for example, in post meditation, when it is said that each sound is the mantra of the deity, or
because we can absolutely. I think during that time we are really in a process of understanding. Again, maybe it seems too simple, but when I train myself in that kind of understanding, I cannot train myself in that without noticing that usually I'm not perceiving things in that way. Maybe it seems too simple to say in that way, but really, if really I train myself in perceiving the sounds, the thoughts, even the others, to be the expressions of Chenrezig's body, Chenrezig's mind, Chenrezig's sound or voice. So it's a way of transforming my ordinary perception. So it means that I have to be aware of my ordinary perception. But to be aware of my ordinary perceptions means that I understand that this is the really root of my personal suffering and the personal suffering of others. Otherwise, it means that these three spheres, I understand what it means when I say there is no actor, benefactor, or action in itself. But I don't understand what is the problem of that. The problem of that, it's the suffering. Because by imagining that everything is so real, so this is the starting point of the development of all the kleshas. I cannot develop kleshas without thinking, without believing that there is something real. So that's why, it's so important not only to have this understanding of emptiness, but this training, so-called lamkir, in the practice of Vajrayana, so it means bringing with me the understanding of the essenceless nature of the three spheres, bringing that with me, which is called lamkir, so including in the path. This is the translation of lamkir. So it's exactly a remedy to the root of suffering, because the root. So this is the main part of lojong. Because if I train in that, it means that I am aware of my delusion. I cannot train in that if I am not aware in my delusion, because this way of training myself, it's the remedy of my delusion. So I cannot use the remedy if I don't understand why it is so important to use that remedy. So this is really lojong. This is really mind training, and I don't know if it answered to your question, but for me it's quite clear. I don't know if
Then what you said is like the essence at the end of the path is to develop this, what is the trempa, no, the mindfulness and shishin, no, the awareness, no, is the basic.
Yeah, totally. But when we say awareness or shishin or tenchi or whatever the name we use, let's say, to make it simple, when we develop awareness means to be totally aware of our delusion first. And in the perspective of mind training, it means that we recognize this delusion as unrooted, as unreal, but we see it as a delusion. We perceive that delusion as the root of suffering. That's why we develop love and compassion. Otherwise, there is no love and compassion. Impossible. I have to see myself trapped in the production of suffering, to be aware of that concerning others. Otherwise, I cannot understand. So that's why to be aware, it's not to be aware of something else, but it's really to be aware of exactly what I am now. If I am perfect, let's say, so it's to be aware of the effect of thinking, wow, I'm so good. If I'm so bad, it's to be aware of that also, it's to be aware of all the tricks, I would say. So when we say in the Vajrayana practices, when we say lam kyer, so at the end of the practice, when we're trained in the three spheres, exactly that. So this is really lojong, in fact, totally lojong. I heard, I don't know from whom, I heard that you cannot find a Vajrayana practices without lojong. It's lojong. We can say, we can even say that why it is lojong, because a Vajrayana practice is a training. It's not something else than a training. It's a pure training, total training. As Lama Tenzong, always said, when you practice the Dharma, it's not the absolute refuge. So the Dharma, it's the means. It's the way. So the way, it's an illusion. So it's a training. It is not to say, just a training. But Vajrayana, it's a training. It's a training to transform. Otherwise, why to speak about pure view? Pure view. When we say lojong means developing pure view. When, for instance, you go into the text, and so you will find out these key instructions, perceiving the other one as precious as the Buddha, as your master. So this is pure view. So this is Vajrayana. You will not find Vajrayana practices out of that. Impossible. Impossible.
Thank you very much. Very useful. Very useful.
You're welcome. I don't know if it makes if it's enough clear, but I think it is quite clear. I hope it's a little bit helpful, but because really that's why when we say mind training, it's important, because this is the heart of Mahayana. Sure, but when you hear Shamanupati, you read the books, you even the classical one, there is no Vajrayana out of the Mahayana. Impossible. This is really a fantasy. It's a total fantasy if we don't understand the link. So we are out of space. It's absolutely.
Well, I was asking you because this link, I think, is very important to clarify. Huh?
Yes. No, you are totally right. Otherwise, otherwise we miss the point. We forgot that we are training ourselves. And Vajrayana, it's a perfect tool to train ourselves. And that's why we say adamant in pride. This is a beautiful example of that. We are not saying pride. No. We say adamant in pride, because it is an adamant in pride. It's a transformation of the ordinary I into a non-ordinary grasping of ego, but we are not grasping, because generally, there is nothing to grasp in it, because we know that the true nature of a deity, it's the union of clarity and emptiness. So this is at the root of the understanding of Vajrayana. Any deity, it's always an expression of the union of clarity and emptiness. And clarity, what it means clarity, clarity in that context means the appearances. Clarity means appearances, means that everything manifests because of this clarity. Salwa tongpa ni, seltong nime. In Tibetan we say seltong nime, means clarity and emptiness in union. And so a yidam, chenrezi, or whatever yidam it is, it's always the expression of this. Always. So when we say I'm chenrezi, so it means, what it means? It means that I understand this. I understand right now that I am the union of appearance and emptiness. I exist while not being in the position to grasp to something. I'm existing while not existing, in a way, to make it short. So this is not, yeah, nothing else than a training. And that's why we're using Vajrayana to train in that. And so when we use Lojong, we train exactly in the same process. So you know, yeah, clearly there is a link. Yeah, good. So maybe we can say that next time we can start, you know, with the sixth, how we pronounce it. This is so difficult. With, you know, after the 5, you know, we start with the 6th one. You know, the name is, yeah, Tun Sam Gyume Kibrucha. No, but this we already saw. I think we can. No, I think we can start with the 7th one. 7th one is very good. It's Tonglen. So we start with Tonglen. So Tonglen is the beginning of the training in relative bodhicitta. Okay, like this? Okay. So maybe we can stop with yeah, dedication of merits. Okay for you? Okay. Sanam di tamche zingpa ne domne nyebe dranam pamje ne kega na je bala drupa ye sipe zole drowa drolwara isho. Okay, friends, I hope it was meaningful.
It was great. Thank you very much.
It's not too boring.
No, it was really very useful. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, and I will. I will. Yeah, I will send you the. No, I don't have to. Yeah. Sure. I will send you the link of the replay after that. Yeah. Okay.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, and I think maybe see you very soon because of or thanks to Lama Tenzin. It's possible that you will come to pay homage to it.
Mark, about this thing, because I read the letter from Chardon about the different things like are planned to be done. Do you have some information, or when Lama?
Yes, we are preparing a letter, important letter that we'll send to everyone when Lama Tenzin will go to the Pure Land, will die, explaining how we'll try to organize, because it can be quite a huge event. We don't know exactly how many people will come to pay homage to Lama Tenzin, but it can be huge or not. We cannot say, but to all of you that you are living quite far from Montchardon, so we're discussing to allow people that are coming really from far away to have the possibility of staying in Montchardon for at least 2 nights, you know. And so this is good. So because otherwise, you know, we think of organizing something like mainly like paying homage to Lama Tenzin. So it means that people, they will not remain. For instance, if I live in Geneva or if I live in Lyon, you know, nearby, so I can come today, pay homage to the Lama, staying with him, and even go back to my home, you know. Otherwise, you know, if we imagine that at the maximum we can have 2,000 people, you know, they want to come and pay homage to Lama Tenzin. This is possible, you know. So it will be impossible. So we have to, we have to imagine in another way. And also, because we don't know if, when Lama will die, if he will remain in Tukdam or not. We don't know that, you know. And so it makes things even more complicated, you know, because it's really impossible to know the period, of time, if he stays in Tukdam or not. We don't know. So there is a lot of things we don't know, but yeah, but you all coming from very far away, so you will have the possibility of coming and staying, at least. So this is an important point.
Also, Jean-Marc, I think it will be very important if also you or other person nearby Lamala remind why it's so important to do and what to do the next day, so the next time and so on. And the important, because for many people we don't have this experience, never.
Yeah.
I think there are. Texts where they explain
Sure.
and to use the time in the best possible way. I think it is.
Exactly. No, sure, definitely. And yes, we already have an indication coming from Kamapa himself, and so we'll share that with all of you. But maybe now, I will not say more, because we have to see. But there is, definitely, there is clear indication of what we can do during his Tukdam, and afterwards we'll see. Yeah, really. We are also, in close connection with Karmapa for deciding, reflecting on that, and I think yeah. But yeah, for now I cannot say more. It's difficult to say more. Okay? It's okay like this? I hope. Because it's recorded, if I say more, it's difficult. It's not that, we have 2,000 people, listening to our small group, but we never know. Okay.
I will call you one day.
Yeah, sure.
Merci.
Okay, friends.
Au revoir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
All the best. All the best. Take care of yourself. Bye.